Remember how you felt when you were first baptized, first became a Christian? You were ready to take on the world. As we grow up, we mature. But sometimes it's at the cost of our enthusiasm. And that's what I want to talk about this week on my Hello, my name is Mike Gray, and welcome to another 5-minute message. Sometimes we lose the enthusiasm entirely, and that's a dangerous thing. It's called apathy. And that is actually the polar opposite of enthusiasm. Apathy is a loss of emotion or a concern for your situation. We become complacent. We don't even try to change things. And that's the danger. If I were to draw a comparison, it would be like floating down a river headed for a waterfall and just not caring enough to recognize the danger or do anything about it. Well, this can happen to us spiritually as well. In fact, it did to the church in Laodicea. Remember, the church in Laodicea used to be one of the stronger congregations. In the book of Colossians chapter 2, verses 1 through 5, it says, "For I want you to know how great a struggle I have for you and for those at Laodicea, and for all who have not seen my face, that their hearts may be encouraged, being knit together in love, to reach all the riches of full assurance and understanding, and the knowledge of God's mystery, which is in Christ, in whom are hidden all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. I say this in order that no one may delude you with plausible arguments, for though I am absent in the body, yet I am with you in spirit, rejoicing to see your good order and the firmness of your faith in Christ." That firmness of faith that they had at one time, unfortunately, faded away. We read about that in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verses 15 and 16. It says, "I know your works. You are neither cold nor hot. Would that you were either cold or hot. So because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I spit you out of my mouth." They become complacent, apathetic, and they were no longer on fire for Christ. They were also not ice cold for Christ. They were just hanging out in the middle, passing time. Well, why did something like this happen to a church that was so strong? The trouble is they became comfortable in their situation and they felt they had everything they needed. In Revelation chapter 3, verses 17 and 18 now it says, "For you say, I am rich, I have prospered, I need nothing, not realizing that you are wretched, pitiful, poor, blind, and naked. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined by fire, so that you may be rich, and white garments, so that you may clothe yourself, and the shame of your nakedness may not be seen, and salve to anoint your eyes, so that you may see." You see, their life was so well off there in Laodicea. They were making money, they had everything they needed, and they became complacent. Well, the sad thing is that can happen to us as well. When things are going well, we have a tendency to become complacent. It's just a nature of man that we have to be on alert for at all times. So we have to always struggle to find that enthusiasm, that fire, that excitement for Christ, so that we can be a living sacrifice for Him. See, if you look at Romans chapter 12, verses 1 through 2, it says, "I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good, acceptable, and perfect." This living sacrifice, this doesn't mean that we have to go out and die for Christ. This means it's a living sacrifice, that in our lives, we sacrifice ourselves for God, to do His will, not ours. But that's not what the world tells us. The world tells us that we should be striving to reach their goals, what they consider success. But we are not to be conformed to their way of doing things. We are to keep that zeal for God going, because if the world deems us successful and we're not on fire for Christ, we might become complacent ourselves. We live in one of the richest countries and enjoy the peace of religious freedom for now. This is a blessing and a curse at the same time. We don't fear persecution like the apostles did, but we do have some persecution, and we can easily fall into the same trap as the Laodiceans if we're not careful. We can become too comfortable and complacent in our lives and forget that we still need God every day to help us through. We need to remember our lives are not our own, for we have sacrificed our lives for God. Thank you for watching.